Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Pompey Zoning Board of Appeals. Regular meeting night. One item on the agenda. Application by Salt Point Reynolds for a use variance, construct self-storage buildings, 8710 Casnovia Road. So that's the only item on tonight, and start by introducing myself. I'm David Tesser. I'm the chairman. Yes, 25 years, I guess. Members are Don Dugebauer, David Hale, and Sierra Haynes. Secretary is Sierra, and we are one member short, so if anybody wants to volunteer, remember. But this is typically a 5-member board. We have our attorney, Amelia Andon McLean, is here, and our code enforcement officer, Tim Barrett, is here. So the official notice went out and it stated this is a public hearing on a use variance application submitted by Salt Point Reynolds LLC for the property located at 8710 Casnovia Road, identified as tax parcel 0050618.2 within the Hamlet Commercial Zoning District. The applicant is requesting a use variance to construct 9 mini self-storage units at this location, as this use is not an allowable use in the Hamlet Commercial Zoning District. For local law zoning 165, attachment 1, schedule limiting the use of buildings land. That's my secretary. If the application fee was paid.
Yes.
And it was properly advertised. Where native birds notices set.
Yes.
Okay. We did send this to Onondaga County Planning for a review because it's on the state highway, and we had their comments. They essentially said at the end that they don't have a motion to deny or approve, but that the town they stated no inter-community act. So this board is free to vote on it as they see fit, but they did have a lot of comments, a lot of some recommendations, and I'll go into those as appropriate. Do we have anything to add to the application from the applicant tonight? Anything new? Actually, the applicant is here.
You want me to stand up, or?
If you've got something to actually add,
Well,
we'll give you a chance. I'm just,
oh, okay. Nothing to add from the submission.
okay. Does the board have any questions in general before we get started? No?
Nope.
You got it?
I'm good for right now.
Okay.
The application.
application. Yeah. Here, yes. Not gonna read the entire application, it's many pages, which it usually is, but this is, already stated in address, number. It's for new construction of a mini self-storage facility by South Point Rentals LLC. Applicant apprentice representative. Well, who signed it? I can't read the name.
Probably me. Yep. James France.
In France. Okay. And Dave Mosher Architects. That's you. Okay. Understand an application for a building permit was made and was denied by the Barrett code officer. And that's why you're here. The next thing we should act on is the environmental review. And we did receive a short environmental form. I believe this is an unlisted action. And therefore, decided this project has a positive or negative impact on the environment. Positive meaning it's a bad impact. Negative meaning no adverse effect on the environment. The applicant has filled out a short environmental assessment form. But you have copies of that?
I'll do.
Okay. Do you have any comments on it? I can read all through it. Do you have any issues with any of the yes, no's that the board made, that the applicant made? Talking about 8.3 acres. As a part of a larger lot. 19 acres. Get that right. It's rural. Has some agriculture, some commercial, some residential. Nearby. Permitted use under the zoning regulations. Is the action consistent with the predominant character of the building or the natural landscape? The applicant said yes. Is the action located at just adjoining critical environmental area? No. I think that's correct. Will result in increased traffic? Applicant says no. Public transportation services available? No. Are any pedestrian accommodations or bicycle routes available? No. Proposed action meter exceeds state energy code requirements. Says yes, it will meet. No potable water site. It's a comment. No potable water is required. Will it connect to existing wastewater utilities? No. Does it contain any archaeological features? They say no. Does it contain any wetlands or are there water bodies regulated by federal, state, and yes. The proposed action physically alter or encroach into any existing wetland or water body, and they say no. Back to that one. Identify the typical habitat types in the area, agricultural grasslands and wetland. Is a site of the proposed action contain any species of animal associated with listed by the state as threatened or endangered? They checked no. The county commented on one animal I'm not familiar with. To that. Will proposed action create stormwater drainage either from point or non-point sources? Yes. Will stormwater discharges flow to adjacent properties? No. Will stormwater discharge be directed to established conveyance systems, runoff and storm drains? No. Does the proposed action include construction or other activities that would result in impoundment of water or other liquids, retention pond, lagoon? Yes. Site the proposed action or adjoining property been the location active or proposed solid waste facility? No. Has it been the subject of the ongoing or completed hazardous waste issues? No. So that's part of the application. Environmental. So
On the environmental
Yes.
things you went through, I understand and agree pretty much. I guess I would like a little more clarification on number 5, which is the permitted use under zoning regulation.
yes,
They're saying no, and consistent with adopted comprehensive plan, no. I guess I'm not sure, why is that part of the environmental form?
well, that's just.
It always
Wait,
is.
Yeah,
like-
That's standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Under permitted use from a zoning standpoint, I thought that it was permitted, I mean, it's commercially zoned, I think, right?
I don't have the ordinance in front of me. Do you have it available?
The property lies in a hamlet commercial,
Yes,
which is different than
Regular
a
commercial?
regular commercial.
It has stipulation, but
do you have it? Can you state the?
what is allowed?
Wants to grab it.
Okay.
There is some businesses along in there.
Yeah, so it's.
Knowing that there are some businesses there, I'm not sure this is the time to have that part of the conversation, but it is on the environmental
Yeah.
side.
But I did want to have us all hear what's allowed in the Hamlet commercial.
Within the hamlet commercial district. Retail, personal or office services. Auto service. Restaurants, boarding or nursing home. Library or museum, fire ambulance station. And hamlet residential uses. And those are all permitted with site plan approval.
Hamlet residential. And what does that include, Hamlet residential?
And hamlet residential or a single family, 2 or 3 family, multifamily. Occupations, public utilities, and school and place of worship or private club.
Those all need an extra layer.
And those are all, yeah, and those are all approved with site plans.
Yes. The others would be allowed by permit.
All permitted
First
by
class,
site plan approval,
all of
everything.
them, okay. we'll get the questions.
In your letter that you sent out to us,
That's,
you should read this sentence.
you'll have time for comment. A lot of this is statements for the record. We get it all on the record. I know that the written record is in there, but we'd like to have it in the minutes and all those. All the paperwork will be in the file as well. So we have to take action on the environmental issue. We should do that at this point.
It's up to you, or if you wanted to let the applicant present first, you could do that too. It doesn't, it's neither here nor there. But because this is an unlisted action, your seeker review is just for the use variance component, because it would, if they obtain a use variance, they will go in front of the planning board where they'll talk more in more detail on the other site plan related factors.
Is that why I see in the county's resolution, it said they should give more detail regarding stormwater and wetlands? That would be more if it went to planning board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that detail here. So if you want, I mean, we have to vote on that.
You have to write it, right? Yeah, we can go through the 11 questions.
We have to do that before we can vote on the application itself.
Yes.
You said 11 questions, that the environmental form is.
The part 2.
Part 1.
Yeah.
You could do the use variance test first if you wanted also. It doesn't, we could,
Okay. But do we have to come back and
Yes.
vote on it?
Mhm.
What do you think, Ward? Should we vote on this and wait till later?
I'm okay with coming back to it.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so before I open the public hearing, you'll have the applicant present. I gave a very quick review of the application, but we want to hear your presentation. And then it's when you're done, we'll ask questions from the board of you, and we feel it's appropriate, we'll open the hearing. That's when the audience can ask questions. And at that point, I'll say it again, if I have questions of the board, if comments to the board, we want to hear everybody. Do it in a polite fashion. We got some nice audience here tonight. Glad to see you all here. And this an application for we usually do area variances, dimensional variances. So the use variance is not the application for it. But it's one of those things we are charged with having to deal with, and so that's what we're doing. So if you go ahead with your application.
Yeah, my name is Dave Mosier with Mosier Architects. I'm here representing James France from South Point Rentals, along with business partner Rick Danham with Danham Plumbing, and our attorney is Mike Fogel. So to follow up on your summary from earlier, yes, this is for 8710 Casanova Road. The applicant would would like to build 9 self-storage facilities, buildings 40 by 120. we would needed to subdivide as well to provide that separation between the entire lot as well. We did go to the planning board back in August of 24, so we've been working on this for a while.
Just a quick one.
Sure.
Subdivision, what we can see with the yellow lines.
Yes, that's the whole lot that you see in the yellow lines.
Okay,
And we have it, even our drawing where we have a proposed lot line adjustment
okay,
or other.
okay, thank you.
So with that being said, we've been going through the process trying to find the best use for that piece of property. And with Hamlet Commercial, as Tim mentioned, we started looking at investigating those uses. And the one hindrance that we found, the hardship that we found, was that there's no municipal water to the site or down through there. There's no municipal sanitary as well. So if you look at all the different uses, for example, we did analysis on apartments. Well, the apartments would require a fire service, water fire service, a domestic water service. Along with that, it'd be better served by a sanitary sewer rather than a septic system. So we kept going through those different levels of, let's call it impediments with developing that lot, just based on just that alone. That alone also gets us into the first burden of proof for a hardship is the economics. As we started reviewing these, for example, we looked at if we could build 3 apartment units, 2 stories, 16 units each, very little small scale. However, the cost got close to about 16 million overall development cost. That would be if at the developer's cost, they extended water, extended sanitary sewer, was right around $3.5 to $4 million. So that just really just kills development, or from the mindset to go into. And the return on investment works right around, I think if we market raise about $1,800 or so a month, as we put in our cost comparison, that rate of return, I think it was right around 13 to 14 years. So it's really hard to get that return on investment for that use. We started looking at the other uses. And started looking at also the traffic impact versus all the other allowed uses. It still goes back to the municipal services. You know, that it would be required to develop any of those other uses. And it just came back to self-storage seems to be the less impact overall, on municipal water requirements, because there would be none, a sanitary requirement, because there would be none. Along with that, the development cost is a lot less to build out the 9 self-storage units. Overall total construction cost based on our cost analysis is still $3.5 to $4 million total project cost, which is still 1/3, less than 1/3 of the cost of doing apartments. But that return on investment based on data that, because Mr. Dannon does own another self-storage facility, know the numbers, the revenue was a 5.5 to around 6-year return on investment. That is palatable from a development standpoint. And that all the cost comparison, I don't want to go through all those numbers tonight. We're in the package in case. Then we took a look at the impact. One of the hardships of what's the impact on the community? Well, one, we think it's a positive impact because it would provide a storage facility that from our canvassing, I don't think is anywhere here in the town, Pompey. And where it's located, even though it's Hamlet Commercial, the zone is, it's in a very rural setting. But with that being said, the visual aesthetics impact, we decided to schematic design a nice 5-foot landscape berm along 92. A soft, real softening of the visual impact as you're driving by. Knowing though, you're still driving by at about 55 miles an hour. However, also to get away from, let's call it the small, I call it the tin cans of mini self-storage, is that we've softened the facades I think the renderings will show that with some stone veneer, some more, let's call it earth tone colors that would then, as you enter into the facility, would give a more softened visual impact. So we feel the hardship, we're not impacting the community aesthetically because around is all rural. It's wetlands in the back and then rural all around. So we found that we kind of got it, we think fit into the environment around it. That goes into, unfortunately, my age don't let me read through my glasses that well. Is it unique? It is unique to the property. However, it provides that service as we mentioned earlier. I did mention how we don't think it would impact the neighborhood essentially, just based on keeping to natural materials to soften the aesthetic in the neighborhood as well. And then the hard test, is it self-created? The applicant feels it's not self-created just from the sense of that there's no municipal services there, water or sanitary, that could help support any of the other allowed uses. If it was there, we'd be just going to planning board for some other form of development that is allowed within that zone. But that's why we feel we try to find the best use, less impact. It won't impact traffic. It won't impact any school population or any of that nature. That always seems to be a concern, mostly in planning and in areas around here. And that, I think, speaks to most of the hardships that the application requests us to look into and analyze and develop a response accordingly. And I did see some of the comments from the county, which a lot of them I know was expected just based on as a very schematic for site plan. Definitely mitigate, definitely a SWIP and everything of those natures and keep away from the wetlands. And we do have a biologist that did do our wetlands delineation back in 23, I believe, correct?
Yep.
So we have those flagged, those are on the drawings. And we definitely sent one. If we are allowed the use variance, we definitely have sent it to the biologist to address the comment about, yeah, I couldn't find that animal either listed. So I'm like, geez. So.
But yeah, again, that's next step.
That's the next step, correct, right. I just want you to know we are committed to fully to mitigate all those comments accordingly.
Right. Any question from the board for the applicant at this point? Why we can
What's the access to it? Like, is it gated? Like,
Yeah, be
people access it 24/7?
based on operational, I think it was a 24/7 operations that you were looking for, correct?
Well, the facility that I own currently, there's a keypad and everybody has their unique code, so only people who have a storage unit there are able to enter their unique code, so we would know who was coming and going. And at that time, there's an electronic gate.
Like in the front of all of this, like at the road. there would be-
Yeah, there's a nice clean pull-off area for people, so there's
There is enough room to pull off the highway and to allow a gate to open?
Yeah, we have 150 feet that were set back from the highway.
Okay,
Mhm.
I assume it's gonna be lighted 24/7?
Yeah, normally what we do is we do lighting on.
with respect to
Light the
neighbors for sure. You
Yeah.
wouldn't want to put a light facing anyone's direction. I'd want to be very courteous with the neighbors for sure.
Yeah.
We are neighbors. We
Build them
We'll
out.
have light 24/7.
Yeah,
of some
yeah.
sort.
Mhm. Yeah, build them out of security cameras.
For
Yeah,
security anyway, yeah.
yeah, and security cameras and
It is a 45 mile an hour down through there.
That's 55.
55 there.
Oh,
It's
does.
45 where we are.
55.
Yeah.
Let's go up to
It's
55 at that
55
point.
It's.
So it's actually next to your house.
But as far as Palmer Road, but I apologize for that.
That means with no person, they're going to drop in.
So is there fence around the whole area then? Is the
Yeah,
whole
we
thing?
we would definitely provide security fencing as well.
How tall would that fence be?
Range from 6 or 8 feet, depends on what level we feel we want to maintain the security.
The lighting question you talked about, that still is a concern to me, but that's not something that our board's gotta solve tonight.
Right.
No,
I mean-
you ask questions, I'm just trying to get a.
But I would say that certainly would be a concern to me, especially if I'm a neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I guess I'd also, from a use standpoint, the 24/7 is a little bit of a concern to me as well. Having people be able to be in there 24 hours a day. But that's not for our board tonight, I don't believe. But that would be a concern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the platform that we would have, the only people who would have access would have units, so we would have their information. We'd know exactly who came, what's coming and going.
Yeah. I'm thinking about a car turning in and pointing in a direction at a neighbor's house, that type of lighting stuff.
Mhm.
So, but again, that's down the road.
Any other questions from the board?
Would it be only storage inside these units, nothing outside, like boats, campers, anything like that?
Judging from the pictures, so all the units, they are the same. There is no difference in.
There will be different size difference, but each one is 40 by 120. So there's flexibility on the inside to demise do you make it 40 by 20? It's all based on the demand too. The ideal lot was to have the back row to be more for the RVs to be able to come in, or trailers to be, back in on the backside, and then have the front ones to be more pedestrian, for the single use cars or like 5 foot by 10 foot. So the footprint gives us flexibility to demise it accordingly, and the systems we've looked at allows us to do that too, as their demand, dictates.
Was there a canvas done to see if this was enough, for people in this area that they want something like this?
No.
Is there-
No,
I mean, does it show any,
families.
I mean, we have them in the villages, we have them in Casanova and whatnot. To set one out in the rural area, is there enough potential use for this to offset the look of it? Are people willing to say, oh, you know what, I could use this? I don't mind looking at it, because I'm gonna rent something, but I'm just asking, was there a canvas made? Say, for example, Circle K, well, it was nice and easy then. Before they built that, they canvassed everybody in this area to see if this is something that the neighbors wanted. And that's where I'm going with this, is it put out there with letters, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. Does anybody ever, would this be a need for this community or not? That's what I'm asking.
There was no canvassing of anybody.
Because everyone we spoke to said no.
I've been up and down the street, talked to 20 people.
Before we open it.
I can speak a little bit. I can
Yeah,
speak a little
right
bit
now,
to
the
your
board's just
question.
asking
Yeah,
questions.
thank you. I can speak a little bit to that. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of neighbors that, especially like Mallard's Landing, Pompey Pines, areas that do not allow people to have like boats or things out in their driveway. And I think there actually is a pretty big demand. I know a lot of people that have to travel quite far to actually.
That order that?
I'm so sorry. I was trying to talk this here. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had-
Yeah. Okay.
Just be respectful.
Thank you. Yeah. So I have talked to quite a few people. I mean, obviously, it's a big expense for us if we're going to do this. So we've thought about it. Like, we don't want to put in $3 million worth of stuff that's just going to sit there and not be used. That would be a very inappropriate use of money. So we've given it quite a bit of thought.
Any other questions?
I was going to say that with respect to the use variance application, they have provided financial analysis as to whether or not
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
or
it
keep addressed.
Can I go back to the subdivision question again?
Mhm.
Why was the property subdivided and what was the original property? How large was it? And did you take a smaller piece of that?
We're taking, find a way to point to it.
Just get yourself right at the pond, right?
Right, yeah, see
Where it's sectioned off in the yellow, that's where you
Yeah.
separated.
yeah, up in the building on the upper corner is Jim Francis. His business right now.
Yep.
To the right of that is a small detention pond. And the subdivision will go from the corner and then just up past beyond that. So we subdivide that upper part in just two locations. Still maintain the 50-foot right of way for, I think that's agricultural still zoned in the back, which really leads to all the wetlands in the back.
So the edge of where all this
Oh, yeah.
would be is like this yellow line.
Yeah.
It's here and over, right? Not this one.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, yeah. Yeah, see, here's the detention
Right.
basin there.
Yeah, so like this is the property line there. Okay.
Correct. Mhm.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much. Ready to open the hearing?
So,
Okay,
Need a motion?
yes,
I'll make a motion, open it to the public.
A second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. One person at a time, raise your hand, give us your name, address, so we have it for the record. And address your comments to us, your questions to us, and we'll get them answered if we can, and if we feel they're pertinent to the issue. So you've had your hand up,
Thank you.
so
My name's Tom Callahan. I live at 8768 Cazenovia Road, which is less than 1/10 of a mile from their property line. What I was trying to say before is, nobody reached out to me, but I did get this letter and I was kind of blowing it off because it seems quite vague to me. It had no return address on it. And this is your letter, Town of Pompey Zoning Board Appeals. In the second paragraph, it says, and I'll read it. This application is requesting the use variance to construct 9 mini self-storage units. It sounds like 9 little units, not 9 buildings. And I almost didn't come because of that. Units in this location, as this use is not allowable in the Hamlet Commercial Zoning District. That's what this says. That's not what I heard when I first came in here. Now, less than 1/10 of a mile, there's Tara's house and my house, right in the point of that triangle in the lower half of your picture. It's not 1/10 of a mile to their property line. I already have trouble getting out of my driveway or coming in. My wife years ago was once hit turning into the driveway by somebody passing on the right. You don't need any more conflicts out there. There's lots of them. I've been there 40 years. Didn't intend to. I got out of the Air Force at Griffiths. My plan was to take a snow shovel south till somebody asked me what it was in my hand. I'm still here. I'm still fighting right in the same place in Pompey. Nice town. Something like that goes up, we're gonna have a great deal of problems. In my 40 years, I've got 11 acres or so out back behind the house. Landlocked, so it really isn't useful for anything. But it wasn't wetlands. But I found the runoff from the hill has caused it to change. There's different stuff back there. There'll be big changes if you put storage in here. And you guys ought to consider that because you might well be wasting. But besides that, there's a traffic conflict. I have trouble turning in sometimes, especially if I'm coming back from Casanova. And some people trying to get across the highway at 55 miles an hour. I've seen conflicts, I've seen wrecks. 14 dogs have been killed 14 dogs are my neighbors because cars. Just because we live on that fairly dangerous road. That's enough for now, but your own statement in here says it's not zoned for that currently.
That's right.
That's what it says.
That's what they're,
That's what I read.
that's where they're applying for
Variance.
a variance to that.
But I wasn't given any advance warning other than this letter.
4 days.
Nobody talked to me about a week, I think.
That's part of our process. So I'm glad you're all here.
I'm just saying, people a mile away, 2 miles away, big difference. Totally different area. 40-mile-an-hour speed.
Yeah.
The plow is supposed to come by at 35. It usually comes by at about 50 or 60. Knocked over my mailbox twice.
A snowplow?
Yes, and I've called up about that.
It's getting silly now.
My driveway parallels 92 for about 80 feet. When it comes by at 50, it throws snow over the hilltop into my driveway. And I gotta hire somebody to come get it out. It's just like,
We all do that.
enough for now.
Okay, thank you.
I'll come back later.
Yeah. Next.
I'm Susan Carroll. We're at 8647 Casanova Road. We have about 36 acres. We have 800 feet that border Casanova Road. When we built 21 years ago, everyone was concerned about what we were going to do. And we came before you guys and said, we're not going to change the front. I grew up playing on that land. My dad built most of Lamp Post. And we don't want to change the hamlet. These guys don't take care of the property as it is where they are.
Let's cut the grass.
And they don't cut the grass. They don't take care of it. He doesn't live in the town. I don't know why they don't put it on Pompey Hollow Road, maybe in the 3500 block down there. There's plenty of land down there to put this in the town of Casanova, maybe. But this is the second guy that's come and proposed from Casanova to come put this in Pompey. Right on that stretch. And I don't know why they think that we need to change our code in our hamlet and put these there. They bring, say, you know, I don't understand why we're going to let them answer the question that it's not going to increase traffic. Go stand on the side of the road in front of their place for about 5 minutes and see the traffic any time of day. Yeah, 200 units. Are you going to drop things by drone or are people going to drive up? That's going to be some traffic.
Okay.
If we allow that, how many times we're going to change a variance? You know, people going to get a variance to change or rule that we have in the town of Pompey.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I mean, there's, you know, we have no police. You know, you're bringing all these people in that have their stuff in storage. It takes 25 minutes. One of my best friends is one of the sheriffs. It'll take them 25 minutes to get to us.
Yeah.
So now you're bringing more people in there and from all over. My sister lives in Mallards. She has to have storage. There's plenty in the village. Mahoney's putting up more right now in the village. There are more. There are plenty. I've got 2 acres for sale in the village if somebody wants to put up storage units in the village. But it's not the place. And Sterrett's just told us yesterday that the whole back half of that land is wetlands.
And it won't perk. You gotta build this property.
So I mean, I'd appreciate it. If you want to put them on Pompey Hollow, that's a great place for them.
Okay, thank you. Next. Yes.
I'm Dave Carroll, live at 8647 Casanova Road. First thing I want to do is read the town's definition of what Hamlet Commercial is that I took right off your website. The Hamlet Commercial Zone District is intended to accommodate a range of land uses traditionally found in rural hamlets, residential, community services, and commercial that are architecturally and historically compatible in scale and character. A mini storage complex doesn't fit that at all. I don't care whether you put stone on it. I don't care if you cover it with bark. It's just doesn't fit out there. the hardship defense is ridiculous. That because they can't put up $16 million worth of apartments out there. I'm sure Mr. France did his due diligence before he bought the property. He knew there was no water. He knew he was buying wetlands. He knew there was no fire. He knew there was no septic, or you'd have to be septic and well, not public water. This isn't a surprise. They knew this when they bought the property in 2020.
I can't do that on my land either.
Right, we have 36 acres down the street. I can't put apartment buildings down there either. There's a million reasons why this shouldn't go in. Traffic. I don't, nobody's had the ambiguous letter stating that there was 9 mini storage units versus 9 buildings of 20, 25, 30 mini storage buildings or units. We still don't know how many there are. Anybody from the other side here want to clue us in as to how many storage units?
We can ask that
I think it'd
question.
be 108 doing the math.
108?
That'd be right.
Okay.
But no
Just
traffic,
doing I wrote it down somewhere based on.
but no
But
traffic.
no increase in traffic with that 108 new people coming and going in that 1 mile or half mile stretch. I mean, that clearly makes no sense whatsoever, that there wouldn't be an increase in traffic.
Okay.
I have a racking business that I sell to a lot of people that actually rent these types of units. Because they're all running, a lot of people are running home businesses out of them. Home businesses require deliveries and pickups, tractor trailers, all that kind of stuff. I know this because I've been doing it for 20 to 25 years. I just don't see how you can change this for one customer, one person, one group that doesn't live in the town. But I guess one question I've got, how many parcels are there? How many property owners are in the hamlet of Warren? Anybody know? I mean, probably 50 or 60 from what I counted up, looking at the map. One shouldn't be able to dictate to the other 49 as to what's going to happen. I talked to people that live directly across the street yesterday. They didn't even get the letters. The letters were mailed out in an envelope with no return address, postmarked the latest possible time so that they would then be legal because they have to be sent out 10 days prior. They were mailed and postmarked on the 3rd.
Syracuse.
In Syracuse on the 3rd. Friday the 3rd, we got ours Monday afternoon, giving us 4 days to react to what's happening here today. 4 days. They've had 2 years. As he said, they started this in 2024. We've had 4 days to react to this. And the town's website has all the plans of what they plan on doing, yet it doesn't open. And I challenge anybody to go on that website right now and get it to open, because I haven't seen the plans of what this whole thing's going to look like. We're all in the dark here.
Amen.
Well, hopefully we.
And everybody I talked to yesterday,
Vehemently.
everybody's in the dark.
Disgusted.
2 houses down, 3 houses down from where this is going to be on the same side of the road, the lady didn't even get the letter. So the people across the street just moved in a month ago, 2 months ago. I bet they had no clue that somebody wants to build a giant commercial complex across the street. I know they don't because I talked to them. So we should use the same criteria that we used to shoot down Tim Mahoney twice. He tried it in 2016, then he came back in 2022, and he wanted to do mini storage also. He wanted to put 3 buildings up on 7 acres. These guys want to put up 9 buildings on 8 acres. It's
A traffic jam.
the increase in traffic is going to be ridiculous. Property values. I mean, I could go on forever.
No, just let somebody else speak.
That's fine.
Hi, my name is Cy Gateway, 57 Nelson Street. I just want to,
One more time,
sorry, Cy Gatewood, 57 Nelson Street.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm coming in mainly, I'm in support of this and I'm kind of specialized with site security for many years. Worked for Bank of America, Diageo. One thing I can tell you about the traffic, it's actually not going to increase. The average renter, just I can show you the data, is 1 to 2 times per month they'll visit. That's the average. Only about 12.5% of storage renters visit once a week. So if we look at those numbers, you can actually get yourself a number of how much traffic would increase over a month. A gas station alone in one day would probably put in most of what you're going to get in a month. So I'm just telling you, the argument for traffic, I'm not saying you can disagree, anybody can disagree with it, but the argument for traffic is valid. It won't. It's not going to increase the way you think. In terms of the traffic and the speed, we're talking about a speed highway when people are getting hit. If you do have an increase in traffic, that would actually slow it down. That would, I mean, if you're talking about increasing accidents, that's not like, this isn't going to be an accident increase. Not alone, not in a straight away. You have to have other terrain features to make that more of an issue. This doesn't have those terrain features. So, and in terms of security, a site like that is actually not a great site to do things. In the cities, much better. People will look things over. Here's an example. You all are here today, very upset. So things happen, people know it gets reported as criminals. I studied criminals and dealt with them a long time. They do not want to go to a place like this because they know small towns, people look really carefully. So I'm just saying, in many reasons, but in terms of security and traffic, those two things, they won't pan out the way you think, I can assure you. I've been, between big cities and rural areas running security.
Well, land the road, that's for sale.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Can you just say the last part again about security? I missed that. I guess
so
it's one,
security-
I guess it's one on traffic. What were you saying about?
Okay, so security, really what people think is the idea is that, oh, we're gonna have these people that come in here and do sketchy things at night. I get that concern. Here's the problem. They're extremely well lit. The other thing is that there are houses and criminals, as having dealt with criminals a lot, like I trained Baltimore City Police for a number of years, in a private company. I also trained, a lot of police throughout Maryland.
I should have my girlfriend said exactly the opposite. My friend who's the sheriff out there said exactly the opposite.
Let's,
Hold on a second.
please, let's
Just
address.
as I'm speaking, we'll let you speak.
What I'm saying though is criminal elements do not, they want to go to soft targets. In a place like this, it's gonna be easy to see things happening. I'm just telling you, in big cities, things are overlooked, it's the concept of like, I forget what the name of it is, but if somebody sees somebody fall and there's a bunch of people around, most people aren't gonna sit to help. Most people are gonna ignore it. It's the same concept in big cities. When you go into rural areas, things stick out more. It's really hard to get away with it in an area quite like this, especially with a small town. So I'm just saying, I know that that's a concern, but it doesn't usually pan out that way.
Thank you.
I think it's good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next, yes.
So I'm Jeff Sierra. I live at 3828 Pompey Hollow Road. I'm a neighbor of Jim and Rick here. And I could just say that I could use more storage. I'm in support of this project. I got a growing family, so I'm all for it.
Okay.
I just said, can you live one more time? I'm sorry.
You say?
Your name?
Your name one more time.
Jeff Sierra,
Thank you.
Can the address again?
I got that.
3828 Pompey Hollow Road.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, next.
Jim O'Neill, 8626 Gasmovia Road. Will this set a precedent if we let this go through that we can allow any storage, because I know there's like a vacant 40-acre lot right next door to that. Somebody could say, hey, that's a great idea. Since it's allowed for that, put it in here. We'll put something similar or something. That set a precedent or not, or that be individual.
We do treat each application separately, individually. They all have their own differences and similarities. Unless the town changes its law because of it, changes the zoning because of it, which I.
Would the town attorney think that this is setting a precedent?
No,
No,
it
because
only
last
applies to
time,
this law.
Yeah.
okay, because last time when we were here for Tim Mahoney, the town attorney did say it would set a precedent. We weren't here, somebody else was.
Mhm.
So maybe the laws in New York have changed since then.
Okay, next. Wait,
Hi,
yes,
my name is Michelle Jevis, 8771 Syracuse Road.
So as the gentleman just mentioned here, I just got the letter on Friday. I know it's dated February 28th, but I feel like that leaves us at a little short notice, obviously. And I was on the meeting from the start of the Zoom, but I apologize for being late. I also own a business like the gentleman trying to build this. I think it's difficult to live directly across the street from a unit of this size. You know, when we bought our house, we bought it because of the views, we bought it because of the back, we had like 8 acres maybe, so we're set back a bit. But we certainly never would have bought a house if we were facing storage units. That just, it's not something that we ever would have been interested in. And I'm very concerned about our property values based on that. This isn't something I normally do. I've never been to a town hall meeting, but that's why I'm here. You know, and I feel like, you know, I understand what the gentleman in the back is saying about traffic. It's not going to change. I don't know if I totally believe that. I understand your experience in that, but I also see the traffic on our road. I see myself putting my son on the bus. I see the cars zooming around the bus. I see, you know, cyclists that are trying to get around. I can't turn in my driveway without cars going around me on the curb, you know. Adding a stop right there is concerning. And I thought I heard somebody, I was on the Zoom earlier and they said that it's 45 through there. I'm almost positive it's 55. It's right.
I thought it was 45, but
I don't mean to point that out. I just wanted to mention I'm pretty sure
it is somewhere in there.
Yeah, by us.
But you think 55 is a big difference from 45, and I'd be shocked if cars really go 55
No,
there.
no one knows 45.
So it makes me really nervous, but you know, and we bought it because of the views, you know, we all, like a lot of people to live out in this rural area. You know, I think it's, you know, just overall it's concerning, and honestly, I wish I had more time to prepare. You know, getting a letter like that saying this could come up soon is, you know, with one business day to review it is kind of, it's disappointing.
Okay, thank you.
Can you just spell your last name?
Sure.
Sure, Jevis.
Okay.
And your address, 8771 Davidson Road. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I see a hand over there.
Pamela Edelman, 8618 Casanova Road. And my husband and I have been there for 50 years, running a small business. And the building is New Road. It's a very small business. We don't have many people turning in there, but when they do, it's concerning because we're in the 45-mile-an-hour zone, but people are not going 45. I had a 90-year-old woman turn in there last week, and 98% of my clients are old women. And they pull in, and the traffic is going like crazy. And so I have a very great concern about the speed, and I received no letter. No.
Okay. We'll certainly make note of that. Anybody else? We haven't heard from yet?
Can I ask a question? Is that,
Go
okay,
ahead.
and I might have missed it. I heard a comment about RVs and boats. Are these all going to go in the units? Is that the thought, or is this going to become like a parking lot for storage? I've seen RV storage before. I just,
All indoors.
it's all indoors.
Yeah.
And the lighting, I heard a comment about how it'll try to go away from the neighbors, but is it possible? I don't know, you know, just.
No, no, that's again, that's,
Yeah.
if we get into it, that's something planning board would address when they talk about the details of the site, what's it gonna look like. We're just talking about the use here. Yes,
What kind of illumination do they plan for this site?
security illumination, I've heard him talk
I'll
about,
tell you, it's gonna disturb us a lot.
well, that, again,
It's gonna be lit up all night.
we know there'll be lighting and that's, you know,
If I could address that, again, we're here for whether the use of the property should be granted a variance. If we say no, it won't matter. If we say yes, then all those lighting questions, traffic questions would end up with the planning board.
yes.
Yes.
And you could come and say, hey, we're concerned about the lighting, and there'd be a lot more detailed conversation on what lighting there is, how many lumens,
Yeah.
whatever the term is. And I support your concern because I don't like the idea of too many lights either. So I completely agree with that, but
I mean, I'm right there on top of it.
I understand, but the lighting would be for the next board to determine those details. Only if we say yes tonight.
In general, we've heard your comments about lighting and that's the kind of thing we need to hear.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that.
Yes,
I guess my concern, like the lady over here said, is
your name again?
Susan Carroll. Just that, you know, we've all been here quite a while. We all bought in a hamlet knowing what it was. And then, you know, we have a lot invested in our property, as I'm sure she does, and they all do, everyone does. And then just to think, as we said, you know, the gentleman that just moved in across the street with his wife and new baby, he works at Pepsi at night. That's why he's not here. We have a list with names that Dave spoke with yesterday. Every single person, absolutely not. We moved here, they moved from Suburban Park, the apartments, this young couple had saved up. Or Carmen Sorrentino across the street, they've lived in Manlius their whole life. They're directly across the street. She didn't get a letter. She's pregnant and almost due, so she's not here. All of these people, we all are here in this hamlet because of what it is and how our life is. And to think that someone who doesn't live in our town, who I was at the meeting when he came here and said, this is what we want to do with this building. And we're just Salt Point. We're just coming in with these vans at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we're not going to bother anyone. And we're going to leave at 6 o'clock at night. And that's all we're doing. We were at the meeting. And now, how many years, couple of years later, we thought, oh, that's nice. It's a nice building. And he said, no customers. There's not going to be an increase in traffic. It's just our vans and our trucks. And we'll take care of the property, and which they don't. And then they come back into the town now and asking our town that we pay taxes in and live in to change, to bend for them. They are not going to have to see it. They're not going to have to live with this woman, what she's saying, looking down on it. And it's changing our landscape that we bought into. So now Dave and I are thinking, are we gonna have to sell? Or are we gonna have to move? Because we don't want to live in a place like that.
Who's gonna buy it?
And right, exactly, who's gonna buy it?
That's my
And
concern.
this gentleman drives home to his, you know, beautiful place on Pompey Hollow Road. He drives home to his place where it's quiet, which is what we bought into, and she bought into, and they bought into.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, what is the history on that property? Do you know, was there a farm? Was it always an empty lot? I mean, you guys owned it since
Driving range.
Driving range.
driving range.
There.
Prior to that,
Before that.
maybe
Yeah.
before, you guys owned it since 2020?
Yeah, it was like 2019, 20, yeah.
What was, nobody knows, just an open vacant lot?
Both sides of the road were a horse farm.
There was
We had a large farm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd like to have the horse farm back.
Yeah,
was there horses pastured across? Or,
Yeah, they had a ring on this side of the road,
Yeah.
south side,
that's a barn up there.
barn on the hill,
They've still
on the
got
north
the-
side,
Quite a big barn up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
quite a big barn.
Did the driving range have lights on it?
yeah, quite a bit, yeah. We took them down.
Not at night.
But they were all showing in one direction.
Well, thanks for all of you to come and give your comments,
Well, how about,
especially for those who weren't here. You know,
you've got the 5 key questions that
yeah.
if I'm reading your, because I printed out the application and went through it and answered it, how I would answer it. And I know that they went through and answered it the way they would answer it. So I don't see how, whether the variance will result in an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. I don't know how, as a homeowner, anybody could ever answer that and say, oh, it's gonna be the greatest thing. You know, let's put a gas station in too while we're at it. You know, it's going to change it completely.
We're gonna go through all 5 of those
Okay,
before we leave here.
all right, that's good, because I mean, they're, you know, and once again, going back to their idea of the only possible option to make any money off this property is to put up self-storage. Again, Mr. France understood when he bought the property, there was no water there. He could not do housing, just like I can't do it on my land. Just like Tim Mahoney can't put housing on his land, or anybody else. You can't put up apartment buildings.
Actually, I think I would disagree. The zoning allows you to do that.
A house,
And apartments.
Okay.
And
Nursing home.
so there's a lot of things that could go there.
Like, why?
The municipal water.
Right, the lack of water and sewer might prevent it, but they are allowed to put those things in.
But blaming the water, the lack of water and sewer
Sure.
is a,
Would
is a,
make those projects difficult, but again, those projects would be allowed, they wouldn't have to be here.
but they knew that when they bought the property. He's
Yeah.
he's a contractor, a developer, so's his partner.
It's just gonna.
Sure.
This isn't something that just dawned on them like last month. It's like, wow. They knew this when they bought it in 2020.
Okay, does anybody have anything new to add? A lot of this.
Don't give me a second, I'll come up with something.
New.
Yeah, Jeff's here. I have one more comment because I actually I drive by it every day and I actually kind of like what Jim did with the property. He cleaned up the pond, he cleared it, made it a nice field. It looks rather nice. So for the record, I'm sure that doesn't really matter, but I would like to make that comment.
I would agree. I appreciate it. It's not nicer than it used to, so.
Thank you. That was one point I was gonna make. There's been a couple of characterizations about, and he doesn't take care of it, he doesn't take care of it. And if you've looked at that property 6 years ago and you look at it now, it's unbelievable how nice it is right now.
Actually, the stairs who said that was yesterday, so.
But you've said it, you guys have said on multiple occasions tonight that he doesn't take care of it, he doesn't take care of it. And I'm suggesting that the work he's done in that building and the parking lot and the pond and everything, it's aesthetically beautiful. It's done nothing but make that way more aesthetically pleasing than it's ever been in the previous 30 years. Okay, well, that's a fact.
Thank you. Anything else?
Have been brought up about the ones being built in Manlius. That might have been when I was driving, but we know that they're going up like 4 miles from our house, so.
Yeah.
Right, so that's in the record too, that we have them there.
Yeah, lots.
Well, there's multiple complexes in the village.
Yeah.
Of Manlius, and Tim Mahoney is building a huge complex right now, right behind the Valvoline oil change. It's being built as we speak.
Okay, do we ready to close the hearing? Do I have a motion?
I'll give you a motion to close hearing.
I'll second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the hearing is closed. You're welcome to stay, you're welcome to listen, and that's, we will deliberate. We may have some questions for the applicant as we go through this. But be patient and stick with us. Again, I'm glad you're all here and we can hear your comments. Okay, gentlemen. What do you think?
Dave, I would add that one of the things the audience is suggesting is these structures don't look good. And I don't know if they've actually seen the renderings of what they will look like. Is that something that we can hold up, share, so people can see that they're not?
I don't think that's important to our issue. That again would go to the planning board.
I think, I don't think it'd be bad to show, because it's talking about changing character to the neighborhood, which.
I don't mind showing it if you want to.
Even if we just pass the picture around, if you guys are okay with that.
I'm,
So we're talking about changing the character.
That's what they're proposing at this point. Again, it would have to go to the planning board for changes, their comments, our comments.
And from an audience standpoint, I would say again, the appearance of that we're talking about is strictly the use of the property.
Well, that's a big problem. Oh, okay.
So we put off voting on the environmental issue until now. And if we can vote on that, then we can go over the actual application and the That's. Public. So environmentally, it's an unlisted action. Type ones, we usually have type ones here, type twos, which are no further environmental review or required. Those can be, residential area variances. And this is not listed in any of our type one or type two lists. So we just have to take it as an unlisted action. And decide whether we want to give it a positive declaration or negative. Negative meaning no impact, no adverse impact on the environment.
And just to be clear, your scope of environmental review is limited to the use variance itself,
Yes.
not the site.
Yes. So we have to think about this use compared to the neighborhood, compared to the hamlet. So we need a motion to say the ZBA will act as lead agency on this application and determine that it's.
We don't need a lead agency because it's unlisted, so we would do seeker, and if it goes to the planning board, they would do seekers.
Oh, okay, so we don't have to be a lead
Not
agency.
coordinating, yeah.
So we're just looking at our action. It's a variance.
Do you have a short form there, or do you want me to go through the questions?
It's usually best if you can go through those
Sure.
questions.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask 11 questions, and then the answer will be either no or small impact may occur, or
Okay.
moderate to large impact may occur. And so again, this is just on the use variance. So will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? So the answer is either no or small impact, or moderate to large impact.
It has an impact on the allowed uses. It would be changing the allowed uses.
Correct. So would that be a small change or moderate to large?
I think moderate.
I
to
would say
large.
moderate to large.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
Yes.
Use of the existing land?
Yes, but we need to consider too that uses are allowed, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, so to the extent that this storage facility in comparison with the existing uses, if that changed the use or intensity of use of land.
Just to clarify, it would be a big change from what's there now, which is relatively nothing.
Mhm.
But wouldn't be as big a change if we're comparing it to what is allowed to be there.
Correct.
So which way are we in need of looking at it?
In comparison to the uses that are allowed,
Yeah.
because they're doing a use variance.
Okay, well, then I would say this use compared to an apartment building would be smaller than this use compared to nothing that's there now.
I agree.
So it's a small to moderate change.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
I would say small again.
Well, medium, please.
Unless you look.
I would, I'd
Unless you
say
live
it
near
would
it.
change.
I would say moderate.
Moderate, yeah,
Moderate to large.
it's nothing.
So, will the proposed action have an impact on the characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? So on
We don't have a.
on part one, I believe there's no. Correct,
Critical
so,
environmental
yeah, that's a flagged area that's flagged by DEC, and this
Yes.
was not, so that would be no Okay, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
Well, this certainly is gonna increase
I still,
traffic. Could be moderate. Less, but
Well, compared
other,
to the
compared
uses.
to the other uses.
actually, I would say it's probably less than what the other use would be.
Correct. There'd be less in the apartment complex,
Yeah, apartment complex with a number
restaurant.
of units, people are going in and out every day, multiple times.
I agree.
Small impact.
Okay, but will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Part one.
Okay.
That the action meets state energy code requirements. So to the extent, I mean,
Compared to the other uses. This is pretty small impact, I would think. They're not.
it's, yeah, it's compared to other uses, auto service is allowed. Ambulance stations, fire stations, boarding and nursing homes. Retail uses.
Can I ask one question of the applicant?
Yeah,
Right, are any of these units gonna be heated, air conditioned? Some, maybe
It is one utility that is available that the road would be electric, so that
electric.
would be an option, I'd say.
Would that be typical or just?
See what the demand is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Okay. Moderate impact.
Compressor.
Yeah. So either no to small impact or moderate to large impact. So, and it's also, will it cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunity? So there's an expectation it's going to use energy, but are they failing to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation? It's not clear that what they're proposing is outside terms of power use for that type of project.
They follow the state building codes, they're gonna be.
You're never allowed.
restricted.
You're never allowed to not meet the.
Right.
Yeah.
So small.
Small,
I would say it might even be, it's most likely less than anything else that would be there.
no.
So are we going with small there?
Yes.
Okay, will the proposed action impact existing public and private water supplies?
There's no public water supply. Private water supplies are by wells. They dug a bunch of wells, they might take water away from some neighborhood.
My understanding is that there is no water demand.
Right, no
Correct.
No, that's right.
No potable water is required.
Yeah.
So no to small.
They're small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And public and private wastewater treatment utilities, will that be impacted?
No, no call for it.
The part one of the EAF says no wastewater is required. Okay, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? So let me flag. So on part one of the EAF, under question 12, which asks, does the project site contain or is substantially contiguous to a building, archaeological site, or district listed on the National or State Register of Historic Places, or that's been determined by the Commissioner of New York State Office of Parks to be eligible for listing on the state register? The answer was no. And again, that's flagged by DEC when they do the mapper. Has the project site or any portion of it located or adjacent to an area designed as sensitive for archaeological sites on the State Historic Preservation Office archaeological site inventory. Again, that answer, there was no, so this site doesn't flag any historic, archaeological, architectural.
The county's response, they said something, it was like across something historical, and that if it went further, it would have to be contacted, the State Historic Preservation, I think. I don't know what it called it. Thought it said across the road, but I'd have to.
I don't know of anything historic there.
Yeah, it says the site or portion of it is located in or adjacent to an area. Yeah, I don't know. It's under historic resources in the. Doesn't say what it is though. It's like
I would think that'd be a small impact.
page 6, but.
I don't see it in the resolution.
Okay.
Either I'm looking at the resolutions from 3/11 from the Onondaga County Planning Board.
Yeah, it's on that, yeah, I hit that one, it says meeting date 3/11, and then down on page. I think it's the bottom of 6, talking about historic resources. And it doesn't name anything specific, it just says it's in or adjacent to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites on the mapper inventory.
You don't give
I
an
don't know,
address or
yeah,
anything.
no, that's what I don't know where that would be, but.
Yeah, we don't have it for ours. If it was on the site plan resolution by the planning board, for the planning, that could be why, because we're just doing. the
Okay,
ZBA.
maybe that's what it is. We got 2 of them. It says it's on the zoning board one. I don't know, just want to answer the
And
question.
any historical
But
flag, yeah, so it's, yeah, I don't see it flagged generally.
okay,
It would show up on the EAF.
Pre-bills, yeah, and it's
Okay.
not, so. So for that one, do we want to do notice small impact, seeing as no.
Yeah.
Historical impact? Okay, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna? Again, those are usually flagged.
There's something flagged about wetlands.
in the back of the property is wetland.
Yeah.
And so they would be, as part of site plan review, or be required to make sure that, it sounds like you got JDs already, right? Yeah.
DC.
Okay, and then so if it went to planning, the engineer for planning would confirm that, and the site plan would have to be, you know, in conformance with protecting wetlands and the DEC's rules. So for our purposes, for the use variance, and they already have their JD, jurisdictional determination, there's nothing to support that, based on what we have, that the action would result in an adverse change.
How do we answer that?
You could answer notice small impact.
Notice small.
Yeah, there's nothing in the record demonstrating there would be impact.
Just to understand, are you saying that the applicants have already gotten enough information via DEC and state that what they're doing is allowable from a wetland standpoint?
Well, they got their jurisdictional determination, and so the site plans would be consistent with what's proposed, but they haven't got site plan approval yet, or DEC, yeah, so they're waiting for that.
But preliminarily, what you're applying for should be approved.
Yeah, it would be built in an area where there's no wetlands, because we had a wetland delineation that was done, so we know where they are.
Okay.
And we know we can build the project and avoid those resources.
Okay, you answered my question. Yeah, thank you.
So we could do notice small impact.
Yeah.
Okay. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Those are small
Pretty
impact
much the
areas.
same as.
Yeah, and a lot of these are really site plan specific, we're just looking at the use variance component, so.
How about it along those lines? One of the things, once you disturb land, you're required to put in holding retention ponds. And do you know what you're gonna need to do if you approve to do that?
We have a civil engineer that is ready to be our consultant to provide all the SWIP and the speeding.
Personally, there's nothing uglier than those retention ponds.
Well, there's other ways.
That's, I'm curious, maybe outside of this meeting, I'd be curious what those other ways are, because there's nothing worse than a pile of weeds and garbage in a swamp.
Only if you like the fish.
And that's what those ponds are, end up being.
Mhm.
So out of all the things that look good, looks horrible.
I'm an architect, I always agree with you.
Thank you. I wish the state did. Sorry.
So based on what we have now, no small impact may occur or moderate to large impact.
I think notice small.
I agree.
Yeah.
The last question is, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or to human health?
I think you have to say, oh,
Notice small.
Notice small.
So you answered moderate to large impact for will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? And also answered moderate to large impact or will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? So that means that you have to fill out part 3. So I'm going to just read the instructions. For every question in part 2 that was answered, moderate to large impact may occur, or if there's a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact, please complete part 3. Part 3 should, in sufficient detail, identify the impact, including any measures or design elements that have been included by the sponsor to avoid or reduce impacts. We should also explain how we've determined that the impact may or will not be significant. Each potential impact should be assessed considering its setting, probability of occurring, duration, irreversibility, geographic scope, and magnitude. Also consider the potential for short-term, long-term, and cumulative impacts. Okay, so will it create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? We would have to identify why and how, explain any measures that the project sponsor has prevented to demonstrate that they're going to avoid or reduce impacts. So they have provided the visuals, what it's going to look like from the street. And these are kind of intertwined. Will it impair the character or quality of the existing community? So we would need to discuss that and address how the applicant proposes to mitigate those things.
I'm not sure they presented exactly that way. How they're going to. By their project. Take care of those 2 issues. And again, they relate very closely to planning board issues. As to our point, is it appropriate for us to approve the zoning? Can't call it a change.
It's not a zone change, just a use variance for this.
Variance. Um, I think there's definitely a change in character here.
Absolutely.
Uh,
What is there now?
yeah, from what's there now, definitely. And,
I understand that. I mean, you could have an apartment building there, but there isn't.
yeah,
I mean,
and an apartment building could get a. We need a site plan approval. Also,
Yeah, but if the apartment building is zoned approved, then it's just following building code.
no, it still needs a site plan, by the planning board,
Yes,
and they could modify. Individual character of planning. Project.
the fact that it's allowed, it wouldn't come in front of us,
Right.
but because. Somebody definitely didn't want storage units in this hamlet. That's.
So, yeah, for any use variance app that we're gonna see, it's gonna be in conflict with the land use regulations. That's why they're here.
Right.
But the question is, does it create a material conflict? So to the extent you'd have to determine whether or not this self-storage facility is a material.
Somehow I can picture the character of apartment building being more appropriate than the character
In a commercial looking.
commercial storage building. I have a little buildings. Not sure how much you can do about that.
In an apartment building, you could have it look more of a home use, a home look,
Yeah. Yeah,
architectural, art. Which
even if that building structure could look more, look, I'll use the word appropriate. You're certainly gonna have more traffic. Right, more,
yeah,
there's no question there'll be more traffic than what storage units would be. You could put a senior citizen home in, you could put a fire department in. And when you line up senior citizen and fire department and storage units, you'd probably vote for the storage units.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a matter of opinion on that.
No, it's not everything is sure, but if you have a choice of 5 things and one of them's going in. And the storage units are the only thing that needs a use variance.
I would see a fire department or a senior center or something more beneficial to the community.
yeah, it's a big meeting.
To the immediate community around. And this, I don't see.
For all the people that are saying, oh, it's the crazy traffic, the traffic will be worse. with
Traffic's always there. Traffic's always there. There's always gonna be traffic.
It's the use of traffic, it's the start and stop at traffic. Yeah.
It's we've all had our own experiences of near hits and close ones and animals being killed. And it's a state highway. It is what it is. We rented up the Village of Manlius storage unit for a while, and there was people coming in and out of that the whole time we were there, moving stuff in and out. I don't see the benefit to the community.
Well, so if we end up pause decking this, then that goes into scoping and environmental assessment. You could make a determination on the use variance application itself. But
and determine whether or not it hasn't met the test and they don't get the variance and seeker is terminated at that point. Or you can pause that, but then you would have to wait to complete
Till they-
that process.
Yeah. Put on the actual application without completing this, I mean, it's a great review for us.
Say that again, so
Can we vote on the application for the use variance?
yeah, so we
Before
can
we
go,
vote on this, or then we don't have to.
if the board determines that they haven't met the use variance test, then the seeker would be terminated. You wouldn't have to continue the seeker. If that's the direction the board wants to go in.
And if we said yes, then
Well, if we say yes and you decide that there's a positive declaration, you're saying that it will have an adverse environmental impact, that the use variance they would have to go into the scoping. And at that point, it's really, a lot of these issues are more for the planning board's purview.
Yes, yeah, like I said, I'm having trouble with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's for your scope, it's will granting this use variance have a moderate to large impact to the action creating a material conflict with the adopted land use plan, and will it impair the character or quality of the existing community? Are those two things enough for this board to pause deck the use variance test? A lot of the other environmental issues would be addressed by planning board.
A very thorough review. Environment. Comments. On the project itself. I think we all understand it pretty well. I'm very familiar with the site. Here when the driving range is approved. Are we ready to vote on this application? And have you been thorough, enough to review it?
Yeah, I mean, everything, we,
Yeah,
as far as the use variance app, there's the 4 questions under the town law. Your town law and that are within our application.
yeah, we didn't go through those.
Yeah, we haven't gone through those yet, but to the extent that you're comfortable with we need to determine whether or not the applicant is for the part 3. We got to discuss in sufficient detail, identify the impacts that the board feels that this would create a moderate to large impact for creating a material conflict with a land use plan or impair the character or quality.
Yeah.
So why?
It might be helpful to go through those 4
Okay.
questions for the application. We're used to doing that.
Yep. So I'm going to use the language in the town law itself.
Okay.
So they have to demonstrate that the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, provided that lack of return is substantial as demonstrated by competent financial evidence. So their evidence in the record, they provided 2 examples. Looks like the cost of construction for storage structures and the cost of construction for 2-story 16-unit apartments. And that's likely because apartments are allowed in that zone. So they're comparing it to another use that's allowed in that zone. So based on their testimony and their statement and the app, it says the current zoning designation of Hamlet Commercial allows a variety of commercial uses, all of which would require substantial infrastructure improvements that are not available on site. For example, permitted uses such as housing, retail, personal office service, auto service, or restaurants would require municipal water for domestic fire protection and municipal sanitary services. So they're making the point that the infrastructure is in place for them to do a lot of the development,
Right.
even though it's allowed in that zone. So it says, these services and infrastructure requirements are not available on the site. Even assuming they could be installed, the associated cost would put enough economic burden on the development that would not allow a viable economic return of investment.
Well, I would say that the storage units are probably cheaper to do than anything else that's approved or is allowed. Because of the water situation.
Right. But again, that property was purchased knowing that you couldn't do too much there. It didn't have sewer, didn't have water. That's probably why there hasn't been anything built there. That's why it's so long that it's been vacant.
This farming and the driving range,
Yeah,
very similar in character.
yeah.
Mowed lawn.
Again, you buy a piece of property, you wanna know if you can do what you can do with it.
And I think, I don't know if you said it at the beginning or it was in the application somewhere that there was no room for a septic, or you just can't put one in, because some of these approved uses, you wouldn't need public services for like an office or a small retail store or library, something like that. So there's no room, or you're not able to do one, or what?
I mean, I'm a licensed plumber. We could put a raised bed septic system in, absolutely, and build strip mall. We can build, enough to handle a gas station or, something along those lines. There's 8 acres there, I would say it's, this is the lowest impact is what we have in front of you, is the absolute lowest impact of. But absolutely, I'm a plumber. I've been a plumber almost 30 years. We can get a septic system in there.
Okay.
But again, this is the lowest use that we found.
Yeah, so the question and Maya, I guess, we're looking at if there's any other benefits that can be achieved through other means, so like allowable uses there. To me, it seems like there are other options that wouldn't be as high of a cost, but
Right.
that are allowable.
Some of the allowable things could be done via well septic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question. The alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood. So the owner's statement was the hardships are unique to the property as the site would not be able to support any of the current allowed uses due to the lack of necessary site infrastructure and municipal services.
This is the same as like undesirable change and, oh, sorry, I'm
No.
looking at area.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's why I'm getting it different.
So they're saying it's, it's a Hamlet commercial property. However, the infrastructure doesn't allow them to do a lot of these uses in the district. So that's why they're saying it's unique.
Yep, yep.
Say something quick. So we've been obviously listening tonight to the public comments and to the board's comments and deliberations. We think there's some areas where we might be able to submit some additional information to further address the factors and to address some of the comments that we heard tonight that might be beneficial for the board's consideration. So if the board's willing to do this, we'd like this matter to be carried over to the next meeting to give us an opportunity to submit some additional information. If that's permissible with the board.
Well, we'll give it some thought.
Okay.
Have to vote tonight.
Did you want to keep talking about the?
Yeah, let's finish these four.
Okay, so the third was that the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think it
I think it will, that definitely. Take away from the neighborhood. I mean, it's a quiet little hamlet.
And that the alleged hardship has not been self-created. Also, I just want to read their statement for the essential character of the neighborhood, sorry. So they're saying that the essential character of the neighborhood would be maintained. The requested use would have far less impact on the neighborhood than the allowed uses by having a lower aesthetic impact, no impact on the local school population, and less daily traffic flow. They're confident that the project can be designed in a way to minimize any visual impacts or other potential impacts to the community and neighborhood. So that was their answer to the applicant's answer to this question. And then again, the alleged hardship has not been self-created. The answer is similar to the unique answer, and that is not self-created because they've investigated the allowed uses. For example, a senior citizen housing or retail facility, and those uses, including others that are allowed in the zone, cannot be maintained on the property due to the lack of municipal services on site. This is a circumstance outside of the applicant's control, and that these allowed uses would create a greater impact than the requested use variance for the storage facility. But they're saying storage will be less of an impact than uses that are allowed.
Just the aesthetics alone is an impact as far as I see.
Yeah. Self-created, I mean, then he wouldn't have bought the property when it was. The zoning did change. Because I'm sure it was agricultural. Probably when they bought it. But they knew what the zoning was changed to.
It was changed since they used to work, or
Was it Kent Place
Sure, what?
Change the Hamlet commercial.
Bought it?
It was purchased.
So
It was changed after you purchased it, wasn't it, in 22?
No, it was changed when we purchased it.
Okay,
That was part of the,
Yeah, that was part of the deal. They already had it changed.
okay.
yeah, so I agree. I think we always pretty much say they're self-created. You agree that when you buy it and it's changed or got it changed, I don't know what you can do with
Yeah,
it.
that's.
That's not gonna change whether you vote tonight or vote a month from now or 3 months from now.
Right,
Self-created, same with the impact.
that's enough comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's self-created. They didn't have to buy it. They don't have to build anything. There's no guarantees that they have to make money on their property.
the applicant asked for more time to, you wanted to table the application and to supplement it.
Well, I think I'm done. I'd be in favor of that for two reasons, including we're hearing that some of the neighbors may not have known about this for whatever reason.
We notified everybody. We went door to door.
Okay.
But a lot of people couldn't make it because they only had short notice.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's why I might.
Yeah, no, we told, and we couldn't find, in all honesty, we did not find one person who said, oh, yeah, we want a driving range to be changed to storage units. And to be honest, one last thing. I'm not gonna come before this board and say, hey, I can't do this, and this. Tell me what I can do to make money. I bought my property knowing what I can do.
When you're.
Okay.
is this an open comment?
No.
Because I've got a lot of comments I'd like to say if it is, but you're letting other people.
Hearing's closed.
Comment.
Still deliberate on this.
Yeah. No more comments. What do we wanna do?
If you ready to vote, Dave, or?
Yeah,
I'm fine with voting. I don't.
I'm not sure how we can learn this.
Yeah, even if there was more neighbors coming in, I think it'd be more negative about it.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's an issue with this family, let the board do something that,
right.
you know, if they're in front of us for use variance, I'm not good with it.
Again, we would just request some additional time to address some of the board comments and public comments received tonight.
I understand. I'm not sure how much change is gonna be. We've been very thorough tonight. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to deny the use variance application.
Based on. our
Just,
findings?
just on our findings, the aesthetics of it alone, I don't think it fits in that hamlet. If there's an issue, if there's something down the road, I think the board should come together. If there's
The town board.
town board, I'm sorry, town board. They want to do a zone change, that let them
That would be,
handle it.
that would be an appropriate way to do it, I think.
And so the denial would have to be based on the 4-question test.
Yes,
Yes,
So the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return. And you're saying, well, they changed the zone change. They were knowledgeable of it.
yeah,
That the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And you're saying,
it
we
will.
think that it will, yeah,
and based on testimony you received. And that the alleged hardship has not been self-created. This board's position is that it is.
It is something.
It is.
Yes. I'm sorry, they can't make use of it, but I don't think it belongs.
I'll second your motion. Any further comments? No. We've got a motion to deny the application for the use variance. We ready to vote? I'm gonna call for a roll call vote. Start with.
Excuse me, can I just, the applicants informed me they want to withdraw the application, so we'd ask that the board not make any determination at this time. And I can submit something formal by email or letter for withdrawing the application, but we thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Thank you for your
Thank you.
interest. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you for your time. I talked to Dave, I talked to
It's me, right, that's right. I'm Michelle, this, well, yeah, there was way, but. Is there any? I don't think it's. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.